Perfect. There we go. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay, perfect. Um, okay, so as I mentioned, if you do have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A function on Zoom, and then we'll get to those at the end. Okay. So first, what is the utmONE Scholars Program? So the utmONE Scholars Seminars are capped at 25 students per section and are offered only to high achieving students. So that would be students who have achieved an overall average of 90% plus or higher at the time that they were admitted. These seminars are also application based. So you should have received an invitation to apply for the seminars through email. And the deadline to submit an application is Monday, June 26th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. The topics of these courses vary from year to year and are related to the faculty member's area of expertise. However, all seminars have the same learning outcomes, and so students can only enroll in one seminar at their time at UTM. In the application, we ask for your first and second choice, and we try our best to fulfill your first choice. The utmONE Scholar Seminars are also interdisciplinary, which is why you may have noticed that the courses are associated with multiple distribution categories. A distribution category, for those who may not be aware, are tagged to all courses here at UTM. The distribution categories are social sciences, sciences, and humanities. So you'll notice that all of the courses are tagged with at least two of those categories. So you do not need to have any prior knowledge in any of the topics. All we ask is that you have an openness to learning about the new area. The utmONE Scholar Seminars are only offered to first-year students and focus on developing the research and communication skills needed to succeed in university. And lastly, another unique feature of the utmONE Scholar Seminars, which a lot of students typically tend to love, is that they typically don't conclude, or they typically conclude with a final culminating project rather than a final exam. So I know a lot of first-year students really appreciate that during the exam time. Some of the goals of the utmONE Scholars Program: students will have the opportunity to develop and practice university-level academic research and inquiry skills. Students will critically analyze academic literature and learn how to formulate research questions while engaging in an academic community. You'll also learn how to facilitate dialogue and discussion, ultimately increasing your confidence in communicating your ideas to a variety of audiences. Students will also develop a deep approach to learning through reflection, critical thinking, and collaboration. And lastly, utmONE Scholars courses foster a sense of belonging and connection to the academic and campus community, being able to connect with their professor and peers in a small class environment. Okay, so here are just some general stats that we have pulled from a 2018-2019 survey of previous utmONE Scholars students. 94% of these students would recommend utmONE Scholars to an incoming first-year student. And here are some of the things that they reported. So students reported that utmONE Scholars had an overall impact on their classroom success, increased their confidence as a student, increased their motivation to engage in their courses, inspired them to be more involved on campus, helps them feel supported with their personal growth, resulted in a friendship with another student. So as you can see, there are a lot of benefits that students report outside of academic purposes for engaging in the utmONE Scholars Program. Okay, so now that you know a little bit more about the program in general, we'll now move to the specific seminars that will be offered next year. So we have Dr. Sarah Seeley, Dr. Andrea Olive, and Dr. Christopher Eaton here on the call with us. And I'm going to just invite them to introduce themselves and talk a little bit more about their course, including any of the interesting topics that will be discussed. We also have Prajna on the call, who is a previous utmONE Scholar student, and will share more information on their experiences in the course after the profs have. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing just so we can all see each other. And Dr. Sarah Seeley, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Thank you, Laura. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see so many people here. We're excited to see that you're interested in the program. Is my volume good for everybody? Just a quick access check. Thank you. So I'm going to be pretty brief. The seminar that I'll be teaching for the Scholars Program in the winter is called Writing in Place, as Laura indicated. So it's kind of a hybrid, it's mostly a writing class, but we're going to examine the interrelationships between writing, language, space, and place. So this is a course that I first taught for the Scholars Program in winter 2022. And I'm excited to be kind of redesigning it a little bit for this go around, which will be fun. Different topics that we'll look at. We're actually going to approach this idea of place from, kind of the most intimate one to start with, which is the body that you live in. So thinking about learning different methods for classifying sounds and understanding what's going on inside your mouth and your vocal cords, and when your tongue moves around to make individual sounds and words when you speak. And then we'll kind of move from the self outward to think about places that we currently inhabit as a group, different communities that we belong to, different places and spaces that you inhabit as individual citizens. Through all those conversations, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to learn about and practice different skills and academic techniques that hopefully the ideas will be useful to you in other contexts as well. So thinking about doing close reading, conducting research, and you're going to have an opportunity to write for both academic and public audiences. And when you work with developing material for public audiences, you'll have the opportunity also of engaging with different modalities, meaning that you might create a multimodal product, or you might create some type of a website or a video, something musical. There will be lots of different options there. So that kind of culminating project that Laura was referring to. So I'll stop there just so that everyone has plenty of time, and I'll be happy to talk with you and have questions here in a few minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to send it off to Dr. Andrea Olive to describe her course.
Okay, great. Thanks. So yeah, my name is Andrea Olive, and I am coming to you from the Boreal Transition Zone of Saskatchewan, where I live 4 months a year. So I live 8 months a year in Mississauga, and then, like the little migratory bird that I am, I return to sort of my homeland here. I have a small cottage on a lake here, and this is where I spend my summers writing and thinking and doing research. I study the environment, and a lot of things that I'm interested in are here, but it's also just a very exciting time right now because it's bear season. So the last 2 weeks of June, we see a ton of bears. I go out every night on the landscape looking for bears. I saw my first one yesterday. It's a bear I know very well. We have named her Aspen after the Aspen Parklands. So I'm hoping to go out again this evening and see her, although I will also say it is thick with wildfire smoke from Alberta. So I am experiencing really the two things my course is about, which is about biodiversity and climate change. And it's right here with me very much. I am a professor in political science and geography. So I'm in both departments. And I study basically the politics and policy of wildlife conservation. So how we make policy and what kind of policies we have for other living things in Canada and the United States. And my course it happens on UTM, which is also a really cool place to be. So I use the campus is basically a living laboratory. So we don't have bears, but we do have deer, and we have geese, and we have Jefferson salamanders, which are endangered species, and we have salmon and trout and all kinds of trees and plants. And we have a weather station where we've been recording weather for decades, and we have geothermal energy being produced on our campus, and we have a pollinator garden. And so these are the types of things that we will explore and think about in relationship to our campus and our place. And I think, you know, the types, I mean, what you choose to explore is sort of up to you as you create your own living map of campus. But those are the types of sort of experiences and things that we'll engage with as we try to work our way through these twin crises of biodiversity loss and climate change. And then hopefully in a very hopeful way, like start to think of ways to overcome these challenges. So it's not, I mean, I think the sort of standard joke with students is my classes are really depressing, right? You come every week and you just learn about another environmental disaster that is happening. We seem to careen from plastic pollution to air pollution to, you know, chemicals and fashion, and it's just one disaster after the next. But this class is not intended to be depressing. It's intended to be uplifting and hopeful in helping you think and write about ways to engage with these crises. So yeah, that's what my class is about. And I look forward to, if you don't take my class, I still look forward to seeing you on campus and meeting you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Chris Eaton.
Hi, everybody. I'm in ISUP as well. One of my primary backgrounds is in writing, but I'm also really interested in the way that we communicate science outwards. So one of the things you probably noticed if you were living on planet Earth in the last few years is that there's a bit of a challenge with the way that we actually communicate the science to the general public. And that's what this course is really trying to target, is looking at the entire publication process from the time that something gets published to the time that it gets disseminated outwards in a public sphere. So whether that is through the university press release, whether that's an article that's taken up something that was published and repurposed it for very interesting interpretations, and the way that the public will engage with that. So we're very interested in both the actual scientific data that is being communicated, but also the ways that that is being shaped and crafted through different avenues of communication. So the course in many ways is both an opportunity for you to apply research to a scientific problem, but also a way for you to play around with the way that you communicate that in a variety of ways. The major project will be research oriented, and the product that you put together in the end doesn't necessarily have to be a formal paper, but there will be a lot of intention put behind the way that you're actually communicating that for not just an academic audience, which is something that we can kind of get stuck and siloed into as academics, but to a wider audience who might be very interested in your topic, even though it has a really good academic scholarly foundation to it. As part of the course, I really prioritize getting other voices in the room as well. So I'm currently working on trying to get a few different guest lecturers to also come in from a variety of different perspectives. So one of the people I'm working with right now to come in and do a little presentation would be somebody who's talking about data visualization and the way that we take data and perhaps manipulate it in very interesting ways when it's being communicated to someone else. So things like if you have a pie chart, you might want to ask a few questions about what that pie chart is trying to hide, because there's a lot of ways that charts and graphs and different things, even in very notorious publications, prominent publications, can raise some questions and some eyebrows. And as consumers of information, we often tend to trust visuals a little bit more. So that's one example of guest lecture. I'm also working with somebody who is a kind of the program director for science at a large environmental organization here in Canada. And we're trying to get them to come in and do a little presentation for us and have a Q&A. So it's not just about exposing you to, the science itself, it's about the people who are actually doing the science and engaging with it and engaging with public audiences in their roles. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm happy to answer anything in the Q&A after.
Perfect. Thank you so much to all of our faculty. Now, as we kind of move into the next portion of the evening, I'm going to stop recording just so everyone feels comfortable enough to ask their question.